Picture, if you will, a figure who has dominated American discourse for the better part of a decade. A man whose very name evokes passionate responses, both fervent support and vehement opposition. Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, is a character straight out of a political thriller, a businessman turned politician who has rewritten the rules of engagement in the public sphere. But is he, at his core, a genuinely good guy? That's the question that has perplexed pundits, divided families, and sparked countless debates across dinner tables and social media platforms. To understand Trump, we must first journey back to his origins. Born into wealth in Queens, New York, young Donald was the son of a successful real estate developer. From an early age, he was immersed in a world of deals, properties, and the relentless pursuit of success. His father's influence loomed large, instilling in him a drive to succeed and a belief in his own exceptional abilities. This upbringing would shape Trump's worldview and set the stage for his future endeavors. As Trump entered the business world, he quickly made a name for himself as a brash, ambitious developer with an eye for publicity. He transformed his father's outer borough real estate company into a Manhattan powerhouse, erecting gleaming towers that bore his name in giant golden letters. His supporters point to this as evidence of his business acumen and ability to get things done. They see a man who took risks, defied expectations, and built an empire through sheer force of will. But critics paint a different picture. They argue that Trump's business success was built on a foundation of inherited wealth, questionable practices, and a willingness to bend or break rules to get ahead. They point to his multiple bankruptcies, allegations of not paying contractors, and the controversial Trump University as evidence of a man more concerned with appearance than substance. Trump's entry into the world of reality television with The Apprentice marked a turning point. Suddenly, he wasn't just a businessman, but a celebrity, his catchphrase "You're fired" becoming part of the cultural lexicon. This exposure would later prove crucial in his political aspirations, giving him a platform and a persona that resonated with millions of Americans. When Trump announced his candidacy for president in 2015, many dismissed it as a publicity stunt. But as he defied expectations, won the Republican nomination, and ultimately the presidency, it became clear that something profound was happening in American politics. Trump's supporters saw him as a breath of fresh air, a political outsider who would shake up the establishment and drain the swamp. They admired his blunt speaking style, his willingness to say what others wouldn't, and his promises to put America first. His presidency was a whirlwind of activity and controversy, from the travel ban in his first days in office to the tumultuous aftermath of the 2020 election. Trump's tenure was marked by a constant stream of headlines, tweets, and heated debates. His supporters point to achievements like tax cuts, conservative judicial appointments, and peace deals in the Middle East as evidence of his effectiveness as a leader. They argue that he stood up to China, renegotiated trade deals, and brought a much-needed business perspective to government. Critics, however, paint a picture of a chaotic administration that undermined democratic norms, exacerbated social divisions, and mishandled crucial issues like the COVID-19 pandemic. They point to his inflammatory rhetoric, his attacks on the press and political opponents, and his handling of racial justice issues as evidence of a divisive and harmful leadership style. Trump's personal behavior has been a constant source of scrutiny and debate. His supporters see a man who speaks his mind, who isn't afraid to fight back against his critics, and who has a hidden soft side that the media doesn't show. They share stories of his personal generosity, of times he's helped individuals in need without seeking publicity. But his detractors see a very different man. They point to his long history of controversial statements about women, minorities, and political opponents. They cite the numerous allegations of sexual misconduct against him, his recorded comments on the Access Hollywood tape, and his tendency to mock and belittle those who disagree with him. Mental health professionals have raised concerns about his behavior, with some suggesting he displays narcissistic tendencies, though it's important to note that diagnosing someone without a personal examination is considered unethical. Trump's relationship with the truth has been a particular point of contention. Fact-checkers have documented thousands of false or misleading statements during his presidency. His supporters often defend these as exaggerations or different interpretations of facts, arguing that he speaks in a more casual, hyperbolic style that shouldn't be taken literally. Critics, however, see a pattern of deliberate deception designed to manipulate public opinion and avoid accountability. The events surrounding the 2020 election and its aftermath have added another complex layer to the Trump story. His refusal to concede the election, his claims of widespread fraud, and the January 6 Capitol riot have been seen by many as a direct threat to American democracy. His supporters, however, maintain that he was fighting against a rigged system and standing up for election integrity. Trump's impact on American politics and culture cannot be overstated. He has reshaped the Republican Party in his image, energized a base of supporters who feel ignored by traditional politicians, and forced a reckoning with issues of class, race, and national identity. At the same time, he has galvanized opposition, sparking a wave of political activism and bringing long-simmering social tensions to the forefront of national discourse. As we grapple with Trump's legacy, it's crucial to look beyond the partisan rhetoric and consider the full scope of his actions and their impacts. Was his confrontational style a necessary shake-up of a stagnant political system, or a dangerous assault on democratic norms? Did his business background bring much-needed efficiency to government or lead to short-sighted, transactional policymaking? Did his America First foreign policy reassert U.S. interests on the global stage or damage crucial alliances and embolden adversaries? The question of whether Trump is a genuinely good guy is, in many ways, the wrong question to ask. Like all of us, he is a complex individual with strengths and flaws, capable of both generous acts and callous behavior. Perhaps a more useful inquiry is to examine what his presidency reveals about American society, our political system, and our national values. Trump's rise to power tapped into deep veins of discontent and disillusionment among many Americans. He gave voice to those who felt left behind by globalization, ignored by coastal elites, and frustrated with political correctness. At the same time, his presidency exposed and exacerbated deep divisions within American society, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about racism, inequality, and the fragility of democratic institutions. As investigations continue into various aspects of Trump's business dealings and his actions during and after his presidency, the final chapter of his story is yet to be written. Will he face legal consequences for his actions, or emerge unscathed and possibly return to political power? Will history judge him as a disruptive force who challenged the broken system, or as a demagogue who undermined the very foundations of American democracy? In the end, each of us must grapple with these questions and come to our own conclusions about Trump's character and legacy. But as we do so, it's worth reflecting on what our judgments say about our own values, our vision for America, and the kind of leadership we believe our country needs. The Trump era has been a mirror held up to American society, reflecting back our hopes, fears, divisions, and contradictions. Whether you see him as a hero or a villain, a savior or a threat, there's no denying that Donald Trump has left an indelible mark on the American story. And as we continue to debate his impact and character, we're really engaged in a deeper conversation about who we are as a nation and who we want to be. So, is Donald Trump a genuinely good guy? The answer, like the man himself, is complicated, controversial, and deeply intertwined with the broader narrative of 21st century America. It's a question that will likely be debated for generations to come as we continue to grapple with the profound changes and challenges his presidency has brought to the forefront of our national consciousness.